welcome to Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. Today is an occasion for celebration for the legal fraternity in India. And why is that so? Somebody from a law firm, somebody from the arbitration bar, somebody who served as a head of arbitration in a law firm, he has been appointed as judge of the Delhi High Court. That person is Advocate Tejas Karia. Tejas has broken the glass ceiling, and indeed, he would be an inspiration for so many from the arbitration bar who wish to become judges all over India. And he's the first one, so he'll always be remembered. So, whenever say who was the first person to have become judge from a law firm, from the arbitration bar, it would be Advocate Tejas Karia. Indeed, it is an occasion to celebrate and an occasion which opens the doors for so many advocates from the arbitration bar to contribute to the judiciary. We have fine young minds in India, and now doors from the arbitration circuit and the law firm circuit have been thrown open to the judiciary. Indeed, a landmark occasion, and we are going to discuss Advocate Tejas Karia and how he broke the glass ceiling, and how when you do fine work which is appreciated all through, be it the bench or at the bar or in the industry, your talent is recognized, and it is the appointment of people like Tejas Karia that is a proof that you continue to do good work and it shall be recognized. I want to welcome on this occasion Senior Advocate Shashank Gar, Advocate Meghna Mishra, partner with Karanjawala and Company, one of India's leading litigating law firms. Senior Advocate Percival Bilimoria. He joins us from the city of Mumbai. He was at Bombay High Court for work, and he joined us at a short note. Thank you for that. I have with me Advocate Ruchi Agnihotri. She joined us from the Himalayas. I guess you can make out from the background at a short notice. Thank you. Vyapak Desai has been kind again, and he joins us today after the arbitration show yesterday. And he was happy to join when I said it's for Tejas Karia. Thank you, Vyapak, for joining us. At the outset, let me request Shashank Garg. I remember Shashank and Tejas were on my show some time back on arbitration, and we had brainstormed for that. First few words for Tejas Karia, Shashank.
Thank you, Tarun. I think it is indeed a moment to celebrate for all of us, and especially from the arbitration bar side, practitioners who have practiced on the dispute resolution side. I have known Tejas Karia for almost 16, 17 years. That is right from the beginning of my career, because when I joined the profession, he was a partner at Chaudhary Amarchand, a formidable figure in the arbitration world back then. And from then till now, he's just been growing, as a authority on the subject. Now, we got occasions to work together in various organizations, whether it was Society of Construction Law, whether it was Indian Arbitration Forum, and the recently launched Arbitration Bar of India, amongst others. So I have various very fond memories, which very often included Vyapak as well, of ideating, policy-related matters with respect to arbitration world and arbitration practice in India. Some of you may know that, when before the arbitration bar was set up, Indian Arbitration Forum had sent a representation to the Chief Justice of India on the issue that people who practice primarily on the arbitration side, whether they are partners at the law firms or individual practitioners, should be considered for designation as well as elevation. Otherwise, we can never have an arbitration bar which would practice before arbitral tribunals on the weekdays from 9 to 5, because if there is no incentive and the work that they do before the arbitrators is not going to be counted when you designate or elevate people, then it is something, it is an objective we will never be able to achieve. Now, back then when this letter was sent, and, Vyapak would recall, we all had a call, many of us were on the call, including Tejas. Everybody had a different idea that, whether it is required, not required, whether this will ever be done, not done. But finally, that letter was sent. Now, I'm very, very pleased to take note of, finally, the desired result is in front of us. First elevation from the arbitration bar for sure, and I hope this trend continues. Thank you, Tarun.
We hope this trend continues. I'll go to Senior Advocate Percival Bilimoria for his opening comment.
So, Shashank spoke about the arbitration practitioners. The difficulty is that arbitration means that if you are largely an arbitrator, you don't have line of sight with the judges, and it's the judges who, in the collegium or whatever, are the ones who will designate or elevate, and that's always been a question mark in India. Although I must tell you that in UK, when someone is designated as a KC, now it's a KC, no longer a QC, there is a very nice process, a very broad-based committee that makes the designation. And there it's fairly common. I wouldn't say it's not uncommon, but it's fairly common for people in law firms who do only arbitration to be also designated as KCs. Here, of course, things have been a little different. There have been, people from law firms who have, been designated as seniors. And some people had to leave their law firm and start practicing in a chamber on their own, and then were designated, like myself. So I think this is the first time, and it's a welcome. And knowing Tejas personally, I can tell you that you could have no better candidate. I mean, if you talk to Tejas's batchmates, they will tell you how studious he was, because in the old days when they used to come back to their to their rooms completely smashed, Tejas would be all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, hair nicely combed and ready to go to college. He's that kind of a guy. He's what my grandmother would call as a sojo chokro, which means in Parsi they say, "Oh, very nice boy."
That's a nice way to speak about Tejas. Interesting anecdote. We'll go to Advocate Ruchi Agnihotri. She worked in the past with Tejas. They are part of the same law firm, Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas. Indeed, it is a day of happiness. People from law firms now, Tejas becomes the first one to become a judge. Some first few words for your ex-colleague at Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas.
So honestly, Tarun, we are like peer almost. I think Tejas joined. It was then Amarchand Mangaldas. Maybe a year or two after I joined. I think it was roughly around that much. So we sort of grew up together in the firm in that sense, and we were obviously never working together on matters because we were doing our own different matters. But yes, Tejas, exactly as Percy said, is a good boy. He never partied. He was always disciplined. He's a family man, and he was always industrious, really hardworking, and he was always very commercially minded. Even before he went into the arbitration space as a dedicated specialization. Because we were in that era when we were young lawyers, specializations were not really the norm at that time. This was around the second half of the first decade of the 2000s that we actually started focusing on specializing, and that's when Tejas started specializing primarily in arbitrations. But even before that, he was always very commercially minded and a very good commercial disputes lawyer. And his clients were always happy with him, and so were his seniors. And because I'm saying seniors at that time, because we were very junior colleagues, and we were junior people in the hierarchy at that time. And yes, so it's wonderful because people like us, when we were we used to think that if we are in firms, we are never going to become judges or senior counsels even. So it's wonderful to see that somebody from our fraternity, so to speak, has broken the ceiling, reached here, and the arbitration community should be overjoyed, because so many of us have heard that you're not really litigators if you're just in the arbitration space. And that's really amazing, because somebody who's to become a judge, to become a senior counsel is a great thing, yes, but to become a judge is a completely different ball game, because it means a recognition from people in the judiciary who are technically those that you should be appearing before. So yes, it's a big boost for the arbitration bar. And it's personally, I think, Tejas always was focused. He was always was focused. He was going to he's industrious, very hardworking, extremely committed, and very focused, very disciplined, very disciplined. So
In fact,
yes.
one thing that I like today is that somebody was doing exceedingly well at the bar. It's a very large practice. Him choosing to go to the bench bodes very well that we are getting good people in the judiciary, people with well-to-do practice. We can just say it as a statement, but I think it is a tough call.
So
Somebody who's
when we joined the profession, Tarun, becoming a judge was nothing to do. It was not anything to do with earning money. It was a lot to do with adding to the evolution of law, putting your name to the growth, the evolution of law, helping in the interpretation of law, and we're still old school. Tejas is old school, so it's not just about earning money. It's also about putting your name in the books and leaving.
That said, I personally privy to so many people with a great practice who politely refused. So I think you have to give it to the person. I know so many, and they could have been great judges. They say, no, we are happy, we are doing good. I'll go to Advocate Meghna Mishra from Karanjawala and Company for her opening comment.
Hi, good evening. Just to add to what everyone has said, I had 2-3 initial thoughts. One, of course, is that Tejas has opened and has paved the way for all the people who are practicing in law firms. And I think that is a tremendously big, huge step moving forward, because there are people in law firms who are practicing on the litigation side, on the arbitration side, and who have they are handling really complex legal matters of very high stakes, but they may not be the counsel that you see on the first row always. And I think that acknowledgement is a huge step, which in the years to come, you see, now Tejas will be the 39th judge in the Delhi High Court. We have still so many more who need to be appointed. I think on your show, Justice Sikri mentioned 90 judges is what would be an ideal number. So this throws open the ability for the judges to look at a whole new set of people who may be very competent. And I concur with what you said, Tarun, that it's not easy to give up a very lucrative, commercially good practice and take on something, take on the onus. And our judges really work hard. It's not you won't find any judge in the Delhi High Court who hasn't read up through the night or who doesn't know his files. They don't grant adjournments for the asking. So it is a lot of hard work. And I'm so glad to hear all the positive things that one is hearing about Tejas being industrious and very hardworking. I'm sure he'll be a very good addition to the bench. But more than that, I think he has created history by cracking open opportunities for a whole lot of people out there who on a daily basis are doing active litigation, maybe on the strategy side, and I just genuinely feel that one unique fact is that in law firms, you do see public facet of the practice as well as private practice. Usually one only sees standing counsels and so on being really being elevated quickly. And as Percy said, he's one good example of someone who was in a law firm and has made the transition. So in the years to come, one is very hopeful that one will see a lot more of this.
Point well taken. I'll go to Advocate Vyapak Desai. From the city of Mumbai, when you see that Delhi High Court, and of course, India has got the first judge from the arbitration bar in the law firm. What are your first few words and more feelings about this development?
Sure. I think it's a great matter of pride for all of us, as everyone before me spoke about. And as Shashank was saying, we had, I don't know how many number of meetings and calls between us we had in different forums. Indian Arbitration Forum, we were the conveners. In Arbitration Bar of India, we were vice presidents. And in addition to that, we also shared director positions in Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, SCL, Society of Construction Law, and so on and so forth. So I think it's a, in a way, we are seeing, almost like we saw a dream at some point in time, and Tejas is fulfilling some of the things that we're looking forward for last almost 10 years. But it's a great feeling. And in addition to everything what everyone said about Delhi and Mumbai, let me throw in Ahmedabad and Gujarat, because we both actually started from Ahmedabad almost in the same year. He went to Delhi. I came to Bombay. And he has obviously a great legacy in Gujarat High Court. I have practiced in Gujarat High Court. So in I think it's like Gujarat no chokro, as we say, right? It's another matter of pride for us to see how the journey, almost in the same year we became lawyers. He became Pune and I did it from Ahmedabad, 1 year aside. And yeah, while the journey started from different cities, but we, overlapped on many, many occasions, whether it was policy institutions, whether it was speaking about India in foreign jurisdictions, in different forums. And of course, on several matters, we have co-counseled together on a matter and also opposite to each other. So I have seen Tejas in every avatar, if I may say. And he obviously has a lot of avatars in which he has really done amazingly well. And I think we are now seeing a new avatar of Justice Karia, as I think we should be possibly addressing him here on, because we are too used to calling him Tejas. But I guess we'll have to make a little change in our habit of calling him Justice Karia. I don't know how he would feel when we call him that. Second, I think beyond personal commitment and personal achievements, I think this is much larger than that. Okay, I think India is on the cusp of developing. I don't know. Somebody says $5 trillion economy. Somebody says $15 trillion economy, and you can keep talking about growing businesses. But with growing businesses, the biggest hurdle or the biggest pain point was access to justice for businesses, and enforcement of contracts, enforcement of rights in that sense for contractual disputes, and everything ultimately led to arbitration and commercial disputes. And I would not just limit to arbitration in that sense, right? He was a much larger role he was playing in commercial disputes at a larger level, even in courts, in various courts in India, including Supreme Court and High Courts. So I think this is actually adding a great sense of step for achieving what India is trying to achieve for ease of doing business, which has a parameter of access to justice and enforcement of contracts. And this was in that light that Indian Arbitration Forum and Arbitration Bar of India talked about having lawyers having that commercial sense or practice in commercial bar or commercial courts or arbitration, becoming judges to bring about a change in the way judiciary looks at commercial disputes. So frankly speaking, I fully endorse all the personal achievements and personal traits and personal commitments. We are talking about Justice Karia, but I think what he would be, actually contributing it at a much larger scale is to the economy of the country, because now we can actually say that, look, we take enforcement of commercial disputes or resolution of commercial disputes very seriously. And this is only a first appointment, right? We will see, I'm sure we will see many more in many more, high courts and Supreme Court and so on and so forth. So I think it's a very, very different and a very unique proposition, and a juncture at which the judiciary, the bar and the bench is, and it will only make a very different bar and a bench, going forward. So it's a much larger change as per my understanding.
Thank you. Thank you for the opening comment, Mr. Desai. I'll go to senior advocate Shashank Garg. Mr. Garg, two things. They say history is created one step at a time. For somebody who read law at the London School of Economics, for somebody who then went on to have a great career in a law firm, and of course, I know it was difficult. We all know how difficult it was, because his elevation required a mindset change within the judiciary and the bar. And however we say it, it is a very tough change. And he is, in a sense, become the first to break that glass ceiling. And, then all the floodgates have been opened. Do you think that Advocate Tejas Karia has sort of laid the path for many more people from the arbitration bar to become judges and contribute to the judiciary?
I'm glad you picked up the mindset change point, Tarun. In fact, I was thinking about the same, that we will have to give some credit to the collegium, both at the High Court and the Supreme Court, for considering Tejas. And I'm sure, the idea of taking somebody from the commercial bar must have been discussed over and over again. And they obviously wanted a good fit test case, which they found in form of Tejas, who fulfilled all the criterias, of a prospective judge. Of course, we all know Tejas personally is a man with very calm demeanor, and his talking is always very measured, unlike many of us who would happily talk whenever given an occasion. But Tejas has always been very measured in what he speaks. So somebody with that sort of a temperament, who's a patient listener, who has the commercial mindset, as pointed out by Ruchi earlier, was, I think, a fantastic test case, and we have seen that has come to fruition. So certainly, the gates have been opened. And one more aspect which I must flag here is that Tejas is a case that I can safely say, and I'm sure all of us would agree, everybody, whichever country I visited in the last 2 years, all the top law firm practitioners, former judges, senior arbitrators from different jurisdictions were waiting for this to happen. Since the day this news broke out that his name has been proposed, everybody across in the arbitration world, senior arbitrators and practitioners, were looking forward to this day. So that sort of an impact this news has made. And I'm sure the results would be, seen in years to come.
Yes, indeed. And we can't wait to read the first few judgments, and of course, hopefully do shows on them. I'll go to senior advocate Percival Belimoria for his comment.
So Vyapak raised a very good point when he said that we have to now call him Lordship. And I think it would not be out of place to use this occasion to say that, this formality that we have at the bar is for a particular purpose. So there is a point of view that has emerged recently that, one need not call somebody Lordship even while he's on the bench, or not address him as Lordship in court. I respectfully disagree with that, because it is that formality and that mark of respect which, as a arguing counsel, whether you're designated or not, you must have for the bench. And it is something that should be inherent in every lawyer. Every lawyer who appears before a court of law must respect that court of law. And if you respect that court of law, you must address that court of law with respect. And I think, this modern trend of, you need not call me lordship, I respectfully disagree, because it's a dangerous trend. I think, and Vyapak is right, we must henceforth address him as Justice Karia.
Point well taken. I'll go to Advocate Ruchi Agnihotri for her comment.
Well, it's well begun, I think, and Vyapak put it very well. This is the beginning for, speedier. Though Delhi High Court is one of the fastest courts in the country in terms of dispute resolution and in terms of effective dispute resolution, but I think Tejas will add, because the international arbitration community is used to very, very, very speedy disposal of matters. It's way faster than any court-related proceeding or even domestic arbitrations. So somebody with that kind of experience, who's done that as bread and butter for many, 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 many years, is going to bring a big flavor to the bench, I think, because he's going to be able to, I think, because he's going to be able to pass judgment much faster. It's easier for a commercial disputes lawyer who's only seen contracts all their lives, and who's dealt with enforcement of contracts, who's dealt with terminations and breaches, etc. To at least in the commercial sphere, I think things will work. Contractual disputes will see, I think, a big, big, big boost. And if this is opening the floodgates, as I hope it will, and more commercial lawyers are actually going to get admitted onto the bench, then I think it'll all the complaints that I used to hear as a lawyer advising MNCs and foreign multinational clients on how slow everything is in India and how I could never give them a timeline, because I would always be asked, can you give me a timeline on when this dispute will end? And I used to say, I'm really sorry, I cannot put a timeline to it. Maybe future generations of lawyers will be able to give a timeline that yes, this dispute will end by this time.
Point well taken. In fact, in my recent show with Justice Sikri, we discussed the possibility of having multiple arbitration appeal benches in the High Court. Because the arbitral awards are adjudicated way back in, say, 2009. The arbitral awards have been written and the adjudication is still happening. The appeals are still being heard. It really makes no sense that after an award has been passed for 15-16 years, it has to go through the court process. I'll go to Advocate Meghna Mishra to just get her mind also on this, that with having people like Tejas Karia in the system, do you think this sort of opens the way for change? Because given how much they have contributed to the field of arbitration in all these years, that expertise will be used within the court system to speed up the process.
Absolutely, his understanding would be very different because he has behind him years of experience of commercial. And I think somebody rightly said that arbitration is one of the facets of his practice. I think that was Vyapak who rightly pointed out that he has also done a lot of very high-stake commercial litigation. And as Shashank has very rightly said, see, this gives a global, it sends a message globally that India is now, we have been discussing, and Shashank is at the forefront of, pushing the arbitration system in the right direction. But I think something like this is a very, very positive step. And it sends the message that, yes, now at the bench is someone who will understand the issues which these commercial MNCs and large contracts where arbitrations have yet to commence, or they're in a Section 9 or a 34, 37. At each step, there is a lot of struggle. And as people who need to explain to their clients as Ruchi said, it's not just about, I want to add one more facet. Timeline, of course, is the most important, but it is also the understanding of the bench. So once Justice Karia is looking at a matter, and once he's sitting on the arbitration side, I'm sure that will send a very positive message. And more people would be willing to use India as the arbitration hub, I think, and that's also a very crucial aspect. And we have the commercial courts which are there in Delhi, which again, now someone who's handled this as his bread and butter day in and day out is very, very positive. And I really hope this does open a floodgate for all other practitioners, and the judiciary has taken a huge step, the collegium, both at the High Court and Supreme Court, as Shashank, I think, mentioned. And that's a very, very positive decision. And I'm sure that they will start looking at more and more people. And this will impact in a very positive way our entire legal system. At global, I'm saying this with some, globally, when you say that something like this has happened, it sends a very positive message.
You know why I sort of relate to it? Because one Supreme Court judge mentioned to me, he said, Tarun, our judgments from Indian courts were cited in Australia and London. And in the past few years, that number has come down. That needs to go up. That our judgments, see, we can talk good about ourselves, but if other countries stop referring to us, maybe we need to improve a bit. Otherwise, they wouldn't have, and they used to, which means something somewhere changed. By having people like Tejas Karia in the system, obviously we will change for the better. The judgment would now be cited again. A point, in fact, I was explained this, that when global businesses litigate and arbitrate, then their appeals and then the orders are discussed in capitals across the world. And anything which doesn't read right is then, of course, criticized also. So, there is global scrutiny because capital is global. One cannot escape. And that's why this appointment is very important. I'll go to Vyapak Desai for his comment.
Yeah, sure. I think there is also another facet to this. I think everyone has covered quite a bit of this. But I think this actually opens up what we say right from the source till the end, right? I think we will see students and universities taking commercial courses much more seriously because they are seeing future. They are seeing that India is looking at commercial disputes and its resolution very differently, right? So right from the students community till from universities to advocates who practice commercial disputes and commercial arbitrations, they would not hesitate spending time in doing this versus going to courts just to show their face so that judges recognize them. Because sometimes you actually give a step-motherly, step-brotherly, whatever you call it, a treatment to commercial disputes or commercial arbitration. And that's why it was a secondary source of income, right? Evening arbitrations, weekend arbitrations, and so on, because you cannot ignore your Monday to Friday courts if you want to get designated, if you want to get elevated. And not only that, it was more of a sense of, let's say, one up, that okay, if you are practicing in court, you are a real lawyer. If you are not practicing in courts, then you are not a real lawyer, right? So there was a little one up kind of attitude. All of that will change right from its source, from student community to lawyers to judges to arbitrators to and he was a great tutor as well. We have done many courses together, and he has really encouraged and inspired many young lawyers and students on the way. So I think all of that will bring a very different sense of pride and fresh mindset so far as the positivity around commercial dispute resolution process is concerned. So again, as I said, this is not a very narrow vision that we have to look at it from a perspective of a law firm partner or an individual or things like that. This is we have to look at this as a much larger, much wider impact of such a step, and everyone has contributed to it. I think Shashank mentioned about collegiums. I think somebody mentioned about the senior bar who acknowledges all of this. That nothing happens without everyone's contribution, right? So I think this is in a way, collective effort, and including the law firm community, right? Because everyone has, as someone said, even in global community, everyone was waiting for this to happen. So I think and that all makes a difference, right? Because when you see that there is a sense of approval to such a proposal from every quarter of the business, every quarter of bar and the bench, then it gives that much sense of confidence for that decision to be implemented and taken to the next level. So I guess everyone has contributed to it, and it's only a matter of time that we will forget that this was never happened earlier. I think we'll see many more of such instances in the near future. So, second thing I would like to highlight is commercial disputes. Again, I think if I'm not wrong, Meghna mentioned about the global capital. I think that's another facet that Tejas would bring into the system, right? His international experience, whether it is LCIA, whether it is in London, whether it is in Singapore, he was part of SIAC court. He was also, part of many other organizations. He understands how international disputes and international business works, and how India can make a difference, or make a mark in that. So that whole global outlook, and I'm not saying the existing judges may not have, or existing lawyers may not have, but he will definitely bring a very different perspective and a very different experience and expertise on the table, which will ultimately also change many other brother judges around the world, right? Because he will obviously give that kind of judgments, or relate to some of the international developments in judicial world, which will also make India a part of a global system, rather than looking more inward. So I think that's completely different facet that I think he will bring as part of the overall system, and the way he would look at resolution of this dispute. So yeah, all in all, we are all very, very happy to see a colleague, a friend, and a person we have been admiring in very different ways, also doing or going to do a different job, and it's an inspiration to all of us. So yeah, I think.
Thank you for all the, in a sense, observations that you all made today, and coming and participating in what is a landmark movement in Indian judiciary and in the court system. Somebody from a law firm broke the glass ceiling and become the first judge now at the Delhi High Court, Tejas Karia. It may say that maybe God chose him to be that person. That I think only people who have practiced on this side know how tough it is and how tough it was, because this thing was not even discussed. An allegation from the arbitration bar was not even discussed. It was not even considered. And I think it is the opening up of minds that caused this. And I would like to thank Senior Advocate Shashank Garg, Senior Advocate Percival Bilimoria, Advocate Ruchi Agnihotri, Advocate Meghna Mishra from Karjawala and Company, and Advocate Vyapak Desai from Nishit Desai and Associates for finding time for this important topic and joining us. Appreciate your joining us, and maybe we all give best wishes to Mr. Karia for a very successful tenure in about 10 seconds each, starting from Shashank.
I would say it's a big loss to us who had the opportunity of working with him, talking to him, ideating with him in various forums, as mentioned by Vyapak. I'm sure many times what Vyapak and I said, he thought it was not making any sense, but he was polite to not dismiss us. But now he would have all the occasions and leverage to dismiss anything said by us, which is nonsensical. Yes. So my best wishes to Mr. Tejas Karia, who would be taking vote tomorrow, and thereafter would be, as Percy mentioned, would be called as Justice Karia.
Okay, point taken. Ms. Senior Advocate Percival Belliboda.
Yes, so the Tejas' presence in some of the international arbitration forums, I think, will be missed. I think after he's on the bench, he may not be able to attend as frequently, but I'm sure he will keep in touch in his own ways, and all the best to him.
Thank you. Ruchi Agnihotri, your...
So firstly, congratulations and best wishes to him, of course. And I'm 110% certain that Tejas will be super successful. He always is, whatever he decides to do. One thing we all forgot to add, which I think is a hallmark for Tejas, he's very humble. That's also something that is his USP, and that has taken him to greater success than what others would. And the other thing is arbitration bar, yes, but he has broken another big myth that if you're in a law firm, you are not ever going to go to the bench, and that is an even bigger myth. That is a bigger ceiling that he has also broken. So he has broken many ceilings today with his elevation. And all the best to him.
All the best to him. Advocate Meghna Mishra.
So the shattering of the ceiling is, of course, wonderful, and I'm sure he's going to contribute richly by way of his judgments, by his demeanor in the court, and by his deep sense of understanding of commercial litigation, be it arbitration or other matters. And I think we'll all look forward, and as Ruchi rightly said, as law firms across, this was never something, that was actively ever even discussed, because it was just not done. So, he has paved the way, and I'm really hopeful that in years to come, this positive change will bring forth more such stories forward. And we wish him all the luck and all the very best.
And at last, Advocate Vyapak Desai.
Sure. Only thing I want to add is, I think we have spoken a lot about Tejas, but I think the other part that we should thank is his wife, his daughter, his family, because to become a judge, it's not an individual decision, right? It takes commitment of the family, who would be also put to a lot of different lifestyle, different trajectory, and it's never an individual's decision. It's a collective decision. And I think, Tarun, you talked about a person doing great commercially as a lawyer. First of all, you have seen many such lawyers saying no politely to become a judge, but that is his individual decision. But there is also a family behind it, right? And without that support, that person cannot say yes. So I think we should thank not only him but his family to give us a judge in his own right, from a commercial bar, and definitely we'll miss him as part of the bar and other forums, but I'm sure he will contribute equally, if not more, what he has done in the past. So wish him best as always.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.